Welcome, listeners and viewers, to the long-awaited Season 2 of Half Haunted. I am your host, Candi, and I'm here with my fabulous co-host, Raji. This season is about urban legends, lore, cemeteries, famous haunted places, and serial killers.
Welcome to, again, Season 2. This is the Cemetery edition series. I'm with my special co-host, Raji. Hello, Raji.
Hello.
How you doing?
I'm good. Good.
I'm good. Spooky season is among us.
It is.
This is cemeteries that are local to us, or to me anyway, to Quincy, Illinois. Yeah, I belong to a few Facebook groups too, cemetery enthusiasts, and then I do the findagrave.com, and then I go, it's like it's actually pretty fun. You get requests, and then you go and try to find graves and take a picture, and then you load it up, and it's really fun. Our first cemetery is called Greenmount Cemetery. Is located in Quincy, Illinois. It's where I happen to reside right now. The address is 1701 South 12th Street, Quincy, Illinois. I will, for viewers and listeners, I'll have pictures on the YouTube channel that we have. It was founded by a Salem Church congregation in 1875. After previous attempts to purchase the land for cemetery were unsuccessful, the cemetery was initially for private members of the Salem Church and Lutheran churches, but later opened to the public in 1897. The cemetery expanded in 1897 and changed the name to Greenmount Cemetery. Now it owns approximately 100 acres, with 50 acres open for cemetery use. So it's gigantic.
Oh, okay.
So if you go on to, it's called IDA Illinois, all lower capitals.org. There's all kinds of pictures you can find of pictures from Quincy, Illinois back in the day. And there's a picture of the entrance to Greenmount Cemetery from back in the day. And I'll put that in the YouTube channel for the viewers to see too. It's kind of neat because the entrance looks the exact same as it did back then as it does now. It's kind of neat. I happened to stumble upon this cemetery as I was wandering around a few months ago. It's right across, funny fact, it's right across the street from South Park. They have a South Park here, which is a really cool park. Lots of things happen there, lots of festivals and parties. Anyway, it's across the street from South Park and next door to like a grocery store. It's called Hy-Vee. But anyway, the first time I went there, I saw a few grave headstones. Stood out there was a headstone in the shape of a bench, and this is a legit bench, like you could sit on it, and it had the name of Darren Eugene Loeb. So I took a picture, and of course I'll send it to you. And naturally, I'm like, when you take pictures, you go down the rabbit hole because, I want to know what happened, right? So I was going down the rabbit hole and I discovered that this guy is on a documentary on Discovery Plus. And it's called Relentless. It's really on Discovery Plus, and the documentary is called Relentless. And it's based in Hannibal, Missouri. It's across the river. I'm not going to give you the details. Basically, this lady went missing, right? This woman went missing in Hannibal. And this guy, Darren, is a cop. He's trying to help out. And 6 episodes. And he's in like the 3rd episode. He comes into the picture. And I'm just going to leave it at that. And you're going to be going like, what in the actual fuck is going on? I'm going to leave it at that. So it's nuts. Just watch it.
Pretty recent too.
Yeah, it's over like a 10-year period, this documentary. So this lady goes, it's from like 2007 or something like that, all the way. And the lady still has not been found. But yeah.
This is Reddit. It's not giving anything, but it'll tell you. It says, has anyone watched the 6 docu-series Relentless? And it's about a missing girl, a corrupt town, police department, fucked up family, etc. It's really good and interesting so far. So they're in the middle of it, but they're not done with it. And they wanted to ask people on Reddit if they've also seen the program. 6 episodes?
Yes, and there's no, yeah, you just gotta watch. You don't get an answer. It's just like they're like, what is going on?
I don't have Discovery Plus.
Well, now you do. I mean, yeah, you gotta watch it. I'm telling you, it's worth it.
Oh.
Viewers, listeners, if you haven't already watched it, you need to watch it. Especially this guy here. You're like, what in the actual F is going on here? And it makes you wonder because you're like, did he really do what he did, or did he not do what he did, or was he set up, or was he murdered, or was he? Yes, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
5
He
days.
was a cop.
Wow. Up until
a
8
detective.
days ago on TikTok, people are talking about it. So I don't know
Yes.
when this documentary came out, but yeah, okay.
Yeah.
I will have to check that out. Okay.
Yep. So that was interesting. It just happened to catch my eye when I first went there. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Anyway, driving down, going slow. They have all kinds of rules. It's very organized, very neat, interesting headstones.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't really like the ones that are flat. You know, you can't really see. I like the ones that are ornate, that you could see. They're extravagant.
Yes.
This place did not disappoint. Anyway, I'm going down the hill, and all of a sudden, there's a headstone that says Voorhees. I was like, oh my God, we all know that name, right? So naturally, I get out of the car. I was like, oh, this is cool. Get out of the car. Well, unfortunately, none of them were named Jason.
Yeah.
That would have been funny if they were. But two of them had birthdays on the 13th. You know, Friday 13th. Two of them had birthdays on the 13th. It was a whole family.
Oh.
Again, I'll show pictures for the people on YouTube, but it's pretty neat.
Look, I'm like, is there anybody on the 13th in my family?
Just me. I'm the honorary Clark.
There you go.
So then I make my way, doing my rounds. I make my way, and I stop at this one gentleman's grave. Anyway, I stop at this one, and it's like a guitar, and he was younger. I couldn't find out what happened to him, but he had a cool, like, Buddha statue and a gnome, and, you know, me and gnomes. I love gnomes. But I, you know, said hello, introduced myself. I'm weird, but whatever. I kept it going, so I kind of say hi to him every time I go, and then I kept going around, and then I stopped at this other headstone, and her name was Alyssa Dawn Zorns. She was, I think, only 18, so naturally, you know, I wanted to know what happened to her, right? So I went down the rabbit hole, and unfortunately, she was killed, not auto accident, along with another young man. So what happened with that is there was 3 of them in the car. There was her and another lady. I can't remember her name. And then Jordan Schieferdecker, which happens to be
What a name.
a relative. Well, that's my cousin's name. My 2 little cousins, their dad. It's his distant cousins. Anyway, 3 of them were in the car, so they got hit by a drunk driver, right? So the 3 of them in the car, Schieferdecker died on the side of the road, from my understanding. Alyssa Dawn Zorns, she held on for a couple of days and then passed away. So it was unfortunate. And then the driver of the car, she survived. And then the guy, that drunk driver, survived.
Lovely.
Yeah. So always, when I'm there, I always say hello. Make sure her grave's cleaned up. You know what I mean? Kind of like leave her a rose, stuff like that. You know, I'm respectful and stuff. So that's interesting. And then there was another name. His name was David Allen White. And it's a cool, like, round, I forget the name of the circle, but there's like a circle of headstones and this huge tall statue in the middle. And he's in there, and he died young too. He died when he was 19, but I couldn't figure out what happened to him. But I stopped and say, you know, pay my respects to him too. So they all have, like, most of them, the newer ones have pictures on their headstones, which is neat, because I like to know who they are. Yep. And then there's one that caused a lot of talk on my cemetery enthusiast group, and it was I didn't see this headstone for the longest time. And then when I went went there one day. It's a headstone and it has a devil on it. And I was like, what in the world did they allow here at this cemetery? And I was like, oh my God, what is this? And it had a masonry symbol on it and it had a like legit devil. Well, I snapped a picture. I was like, what the hell? But I found out it was our local Quincy High School mascot is a blue devil. So it's the blue devil.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a husband and wife that purchased the headstone. They're both still alive, right? But his name is John Groves, and he works behind the scenes for the athletic department for 40 years. From what I read, he's kind of well respected. He helps out. Like the students and locals kind of called him a water boy, but he did other things too.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So there was a post in the, you know how people are closed-minded and stuff like that. They're like, oh, it's witchcraft. I can't believe they would allow that in the cemetery, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, and they went wild. And then I was like, dude, I posted the actual picture of the article of the coach. The actual mask. I mean, I literally did our research. Several other people in the group did it. It had over 1,300 likes and 400 comments. So it was pretty cool. But that was one of my favorites. And then the absolute favorite one of mine was it's grandparents, but it's as I was leaving, I stopped and I'm like, this is cool. It's another one of these benches. And it says, life is a multi-hued rainbow, sometimes bright, sometimes dull, but always beautiful. Enjoy. And on the bench part, it says, come and tell us about your day. So you can sit down and don't think I was tempted. I don't know these people. They're not my grandparents. But don't think I was tempted to go sit down and tell them about my day.
Why not?
I make sure their headstone's cleaned off because it's nice marble. And I always make sure stuff's cleaned off. You know, I don't know. I just like to know their background. The weird thing in this cemetery that I was with my little 8-year-old cousin because we like to hang out at cemetery sometimes, and I let her wander around over there by the one with the guitar with the Buddha. So she was over there, and we're the only ones in the cemetery. It's huge, right? And we're roaming, and I was sitting in the back of my car just watching her, you know, just roaming around. And all of a sudden, we both heard what sounded like a child yell or laugh. I don't know what it was. And I thought it was something. I thought it was her, and she looked too, and she came running back up. She's like, did you hear that? And I'm like, I thought it was you. She goes, no, I heard it too. And I'm like, get the car. But yeah. Yeah, but that was a cool cemetery. That's a Greenmount. So that's not the oldest one. That's not the oldest one. So that's one of many. So the next one is my favorite one, though. This one's called Woodland Cemetery. This one was established in 1846, and this one was established by John Wood, founded Quincy, Illinois. He was the governor of Illinois at one point. So there's quite a few people that are famous in the cemetery. John Cook Cox, which is a Civil War general, he's in there. Quincy's public cemeteries in the 1800s were limited to 2 small plots, leading the city to run out of burial space. So the mayor, John Wood at the time, purchased the land overlooking the Mississippi River, designated a cemetery. The cemetery became popular and accepted burials from other cemeteries. The cemetery reflected significant events in the city's history, including the cholera epidemic and the Civil War burials. Additional features were added over the years, including tombs and a bandstand.
Wow.
The cemetery was added to the National Register of Historic Places on March 1st, 2002. So the very first time I ever went to the cemetery was at night in the pouring rain with my stepdad for a haunted historical tour last October. This was cool. They had like people dressed up as the famous people that were buried there.
Yeah.
And they talked about their life. And it was pouring down rain. I'm still going. It was a walking tour. Little did I know that thing is huge.
Yeah.
So in the rain, I got crippled up arthritis, trying to stand in the rain, and I'm crippled up trying to walk. And I was like, oh my God, this is fun. And my knees hurt. can't make it back to the car.
Yeah.
And then I saw this lady, and I'm like, it's dark. I'm like, I know it's raining. And we were like the last group, and I see this figure going like this, floating like fast. And I was like, I know I'm not seeing this shit. But I realized it was the lady on a motorized car, wheeled back to her car because she's crippled up too, because she's one of the actresses. And I'm like, sweet Jesus, oh my God, I'm crippled up. I can't. I'm thinking, oh my God, this is it. Yeah. But then you go back to see it during the day, you're like, holy shit, this is huge. I mean, you just saw a tidbit, and then it's gigantic.
Yeah.
Gigantic. I mean, 60,000 people are buried there. 60,000. The oldest grave in the cemetery predates its opening by 18 years. The cemetery accepted almost 250 of the city's Civil War dead. These burials led to formation of the Quincy National Cemetery, which, talk about that in a minute. They moved these bodies over here to this grave, and then moved those bodies over there. There's all kinds of moving around the cemeteries here too, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
My favorite part, though, of the cemetery is a mausoleum of a family called the Osborne. It's Victorian, and it's hauntingly beautiful. It's just like it's a mausoleum, but it looks like strangely gothic.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it in so the viewers can see it. But it's pretty. I go and sit in front of that. So just sit there and drink my coffee and just relax because nobody bothers me there.
Yeah.
I look at squirrels sit on top of the tombstones and hang out. I mean, it's nice. You see hawks and eagles and stuff like that. But yeah, so that's my favorite part. John Wood is buried there. He was the governor. George Metz, the one, you know how we did Catherine Villa?
That's the one with the dog, right?
Yeah, he's buried there. I found him. Hallelujah, found him.
Yeah.
His family's on kind of like down the way from where John Wood's buried.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of down the way, found him. And then there's a famous actor, well, I guess he's famous, Roy Brocksmith. He starred in several movies, including, he's famous for Total Recall and Arachnophobia. He was like, I guess, a doctor in Total Recall or something. I don't know. He's buried there. He has a bench there by the big memorial. I'll put a picture of that in there.
Oh, I remember him. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. All right.
Yeah.
Whoa.
He's in the 1800s. They had like in the side of the mountain there where they kept the bodies dirt to keep cooler, I guess frozen or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to, what's the word I'm looking for? They had to fill it in because people were vandalizing it. So it sucks because you can go drive by it, but you can't go in it anymore. And then I still haven't gone in the mausoleum. They actually have a legit mausoleum you can go into with more, but I haven't been able to get in there. And they said that's haunted.
Ew.
And then I know. And then my friend Arana, she walks her dog there. She lives right down the street.
Mm-hmm.
And she said there's a part that her dog didn't want to go to. I've never really felt anything at that cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
I've always felt at peace. There's people that walk their dogs. There's trash cans there.
Yeah.
You see joggers. I mean, it's a really nice area. It's one of my favorites. And it overlooks, it's on like a cliff, so it overlooks the Mississippi. So you can see that. So really peaceful. If you ever come visit,
Good.
we'll have to go there. Yeah.
Right.
That's Woodland Cemetery. Love it. Love it there. I'm going to go this year too. If they have a National Historic Society, every year has a thing where I help them out. That's why we had that tour last year. So I'm going to do it again this year. So the National Cemetery, which is on Main Street, remember I was telling you they had 250 Civil War people?
Yeah.
Remember I had to move it? So they moved it over to Graceland Cemetery, which Graceland Cemetery is local too, but that is a cemetery that has been forgotten. I mean, there's graves there. You can visit it, but it's not kept up.
Yeah.
And so they were moved over there, according to my research. And then from there, they moved across the street to now it's called Quincy National Cemetery.
Okay.
Quincy National Cemetery began as a Civil War era soldier's lot. The soldier's lot was elevated to a national cemetery in 1882. The first superintendent, Martin Easley, was appointed in 1882, but was quickly removed due to a scandal. Scandalous. By 1890, the cemetery had 243 interments. In 1899, the cemetery was moved to Graceland, where it said, and then it remained there for 37 years, officially being designated as Quincy National Cemetery in 1936, which is across the street. So it moved twice, as far as I could tell, because there's no way that Graceland has all those people in it, and then the Quincy National Cemetery. And then what's really weird is there's a St. Peter's Catholic Cemetery that's on 30th Street and Broadway. Broadway is like our main drag.
Okay.
You know how there's Central in Phoenix?
Yeah.
Broadway's our main drag, right? So the St. Peter's Catholic Cemetery is next to the Tropical Smoothie Cafe and a movie theater. I'm not kidding. You walk out of the theater in the parking lot and there's a cemetery. You go and get your smoothie, walk out the door, and there's a cemetery. I'm like, let's.
I'm gonna go. St. Peter's Catholic Cemetery. Okay, go on.
So it was formerly between 18th Street and 20th Street in Maine, New Hampshire, but then they moved it. They're moving cemeteries left and right. Anyway, this is cool. You're going to like this. So there's a couple of famous people in the cemetery, believe it or not.
Okay.
One is a Major League Baseball player, Jim Finnegan. He's basement over 6 seasons. He played with the Philadelphia and Kansas City Athletics from 1954 to 1956. He was traded from the New York Yankees. Anyway, he's there. His batting average was .264 and 19 home runs. He couldn't find his grave, he said. Now, the most famous one, now this is the coolest one, Reverend Augustus Tolton. I got a picture of him. He's a black gentleman. He's a religious figure. He's recognized as the first ordained African-American Roman Catholic priest in the United States.
Wow.
And let me tell you about this guy. Augustus Tolton was born April 1st, 1854 in Bush Creek, Missouri, the son of Peter, Paul, and Martha Tolton, who were enslaved there. He was 10 years old. His father left to fight for the Union Army during the Civil War and never returned. During the Civil War, Augustus, his mother, and 2 younger siblings fled north, crossing the Mississippi River in a rickety boat with 1 oar, while Confederate bullets whizzed overhead. They settled in Quincy, Illinois, where Augustus grew in his Catholic faith. He felt called to the priesthood in spite of racism from the white Catholics. He was forced to stop attending his local Catholic school, and the United States would accept him, but the Vatican did. He began studying for the priesthood in 1873, and he was eventually able to attend Quincy College and complete his studies in Rome, Italy.
That's wild.
Yeah, the Vatican accepted him. That's pretty
Right.
neat. Yeah. Can you believe that?
As much as I hear people on TikTok talking about don't go to Italy if you black, blah, blah, blah. And yeah, I understand anywhere else there's going to be people. But that is quite, keep going. That's pretty damn cool.
Right. So Father Augustus Tolton was ordained on April 24th, 1886 at the Cathedral Basilica of St. John Lateran in Rome as the first known and recognized black priest in the United States. He had hoped to become a missionary in Africa, but was told to return to Quincy. There he ministered for 2 years as pastor of a racially mixed St. Joseph's Church. He was most attentive to the spiritual and human needs of his people. Soon his masses and instruction classes gained prominence, and he was asked to attend and speak at many public gatherings. He quickly gained reputation as a fine memorizing preacher, so much that so many of the German and Irish Catholics began to attend Mass with the black Catholics. Tolton's increasingly popularity unleashed both hidden racism and jealousy of both Catholic priests and black Protestant ministers in the area. We can know something. All right. Forced to leave his home in Quincy because of racial hostility, Tolton settled in Chicago and began to build St. Monica's Church, later St. Elizabeth's, the first Black Catholic church in Chicago. St. Monica was African, mother of doctor of the church, St. Augustine. St. Monica's became Chicago's center of Black Catholic life for more than 30 years. Father Tolton continued to be well known there and nationally speaking at numerous gatherings and lectures, including the first Catholic Colored Congress in Washington, D.C. in 1889. On July 9, 1897, he stepped from the train at 35th Street in Lake Park, returning from annual retreat in Chicago. Priest in Bourbonnais, an excessively hot day, he collapsed from heat exhaustion and was rushed to Mercy Hospital. Unfortunately, he died that night at the age of 43. After Tolton's death, St. Monica was made a mission of St. Elizabeth's Church and was permanently closed as a national parish in 1924, as Black Catholics chose to attend parish churches in their own neighborhoods. The Archdiocese of Chicago opened his cause for, what is that, canonization in 2010.
Yeah.
How do you, I thought it said cannibalization. I was like, what? I'm high or something. Jeez, 2010. So Father Tolton was honored in 2010 with a new Catholic high school, the Father Tolton Catholic High School, named after him in Columbia, Missouri. Decade. On June 2019, Pope Francis declared Augustus Tolton as venerable, advancing his cause of canonization. Thank you for saying. Isn't that crazy?
That is
amazing.
That is amazing. That is absolutely amazing. And I wouldn't know these things for the most part. I mean, if I was in Cash Cab in New York right now and they asked me a question, I'll be like, Augustus Tolton. Don't ask me, but I know. Yeah, I'm not Catholic, so I did not know that. But the Vatican, that blows me.
Yeah, I was looking and I'm like, well, I haven't been to this one yet. And I was like, well, let me go and check this out. And there's this huge cross right in the middle. I'm like, what's this Tolton person? So let me take a picture. Click, click. So I thought that was really cool. Like, there's a lot of Catholic churches here and cemeteries here. I've been to all of them except for St. Boniface. Is that what you call it? Haven't been to that one yet. That's the only cemetery I haven't been to. There's another one called Calvary Cemetery, and that's not too far from my house. That's Roman Catholic diocese on that one. I haven't got any information. I don't know how old that one is, but it's interesting. They have a lot of religious statues there.
Yeah.
There's a professional football player from like Herm Schneidman and Fritz Ostermiller are there. Well, it's a nice cemetery. It was on roadside attractions. There was a tree that looked like Jesus was holding a lamb or whatever, but they chopped it down. I'll post it on the podcast for viewers. And I'm like, I don't see it, but people see it. But the tree's not there anymore, but that was what that one was famous for. Here's another fun fact. On 24th Street in Maine, which is down the street from me, it's now called Madison Park. It's a park. Kids play in it. Park. So, in 1835, the ground was bought in 1835 to make a cemetery, right? Bodies were taken from Jefferson Square. So if the bodies couldn't be identified, they were left in the square, Jefferson Square, right? So in 1867, if the bodies were identified, they left them in Jefferson Square, right? But what happened was, there's still bodies underneath this park, Madison Square Park. And I'm like, because of waterlogging, they were trying to, do the cemetery, but it kept waterlogging and stuff. So as soon as they were trying to dig it, it would waterlog it. And then, there's a whole to-do of it. There's still bodies there. So, funny story. My cousin, my mom one time picked up my cousins from school. So I said, cousin, hey, did you know that there is bodies under this playground, this park over here? I just knew it. I knew it. There was something there. I just knew there was bodies there. I'm like, really? She's like, yeah, I kind of felt it, she said. But yeah, there's legit bodies still down there. And people were moving bodies left and right. I'm like, what? And I kind of get it because this whole place used to be like, back in the days. I mean, buried you where you die.
Well, it's just like, I can't remember the name of the lake. I know it's not Lanier. I don't think that's the right name. There's lakes. People out there partying like it's 1999 4th of July. That was a cemetery. So you all out there going with dead folks.
It's Lake Lanier. That's a whole nother cemetery. That's a whole nother
podcast.
Yeah. Thanks for reminding me, though. I'm going to add that one in there. Lake Lanier, because that's another sketchy one.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's a local one here. Again, there's another national cemetery where all the veterans are, too. That's kind of neat.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to be cremated. I don't know where I'm going to go, but I don't want to be buried. Me personally, and folks, this is just my opinion. You don't have to like it. I just think it's too much money to be in a box that just ashes to ashes, dust to dust. You know what I mean?
I don't give a damn. It's a ripoff. I don't understand why you're being buried in a box or full of formaldehyde. You're polluting the ground. You already seen what happened when we had Katrina back in 2004. Dead bodies floating out of the cemeteries. No, ashes to ashes, dust to dust. I mean, hell,
right.
We're polluting the earth. You might as well be buried in a sack and grown into a tree or whatever. Or like my friend did, he watched a documentary and he in turn got shipped to Washington and was put in a pod and turned into earth.
Right.
Fertilize some flowers or something. Why not?
Yeah, and then the cemetery part 2, the next whole batch is coming up. I've been to a cemetery that had a section like that where people did that, which I wouldn't mind doing that, giving my body up for science, whatever, to help the next generation.
Definitely.
See, and you see these people that are in the 1700s and the 1800s, their stones are crumbling, they have to cement it back together and shit. Like,
you got ghostesses?
No. I don't know what's going on. I think it's Surrey, whatever. That was my mom at first. I was like,
as you were saying,
that was Surrey. But yeah, it was weird. So, yeah, I'm going to be cremated.
It's cheaper. Either that we chop you up and feed you the vultures. So that's even way cheaper. I'm just saying.
All right. So that sums up Cemetery Series 1. I would recommend you watch that Relentless on Discovery Plus.
If you enjoyed our podcast, let us know by giving us a rating on Spotify, Apple, and iHeartRadio. If you enjoyed our video podcast on YouTube, let us know by leaving a comment. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you again to our listeners and viewers. We greatly appreciate it. You can also find us on www.halfhaunted.com. If you have any questions or concerns or have anything spooky to share, feel free to send us a message or an email on halfhauntedpodcast@gmail.com. Until then, stay half haunted.